Welcome to Behind the Line, the podcast where you'll get untold stories from first responders and military veterans. I'm Tim Hageman. I'll be your host. My guest today joined the United States Army National Guard in 2005, and after serving 15 years, was discharged in 2020. For 12 of those years, he was assigned to Special Forces Operational Detachment Alpha. He was involved in 9 overseas deployments, 4 of which were combat rotations in Iraq and Afghanistan. His other deployments were in areas of Southeast Asia, Africa, South Asia, and Europe. He attended the University of Southern California and attained a master's degree in public policy and management. In 2015, he became a police officer with the Gardena Police Department. There's so much more to his life story, and I'm confident you'll enjoy hearing more about him. So with that said, please welcome Matt Pech. Matt, welcome to the Behind the Line podcast.
Hey, Tim, thanks for having me. I think this is a great mission you got here. I think it's great to get veterans' voices out there. And yeah, thanks again.
I appreciate it. So let me start off by saying, first of all, I know you're busy. You have a lot going on. You have a family. You're doing stuff around the house, and you're staying active with your workouts, intense workouts, I must say. I've never been a part of them, but I've vicariously lived through those on your YouTube, on your Instagram. So appreciate that very much. You taking the time to be here today and being so responsive to me reaching out to you. I really do appreciate that.
No, thank you.
So I'm really looking forward to hearing about your time in the Army and what you accomplished while in the Army, what you were involved in while in the Army, your time as a police officer with Gardena Police Department. But real briefly, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you grew up, and what you're doing these days.
Yeah, so I grew up in Torrance, California. Lived here my entire life until I joined the military. My father was originally born in Mexico. Mother was born here in Torrance. Mother went to same high school as me. On my aunts and uncles, same thing. And yeah, grew up surfing, active, playing baseball, trying every sport. Wasn't the greatest in school until I decided to flip that around like sophomore year and decided to start actually trying, and did well. Didn't know what I wanted to do, like most kids, just figuring it out. And, long story short, ended up running across a guy that joined the National Guard, did some deployments, and I was sold. And I kind of grew up in a family with my grandfather was a Korean War veteran. My uncle was in the Marine Corps, and they're kind of the core men of my life up until my stepdad, who I call dad, came around. And, they dressed me up in camo, let us climb trees, teach us how to shoot guns. So I think it was kind of already in the works, but I ended up working out. Joined the military after a semester of college. I couldn't afford college, so this was a way for me to get education, which was still pretty important at the time, and it ended up becoming a career.
So appreciate the background there. So thank you for that. So you said you ran across somebody who had joined the National Guard. Is that what, and your background with your family background,
Yeah.
Is that, or are they what inspired you to join, or was it something else, or was it a combination?
I'd say it's a combination. I'd always been a patriot. I grew up in a family that respected the military, going to air shows, going to gun shows, trying to find any little trinket I could to get to bring home, canteen belt, all that. But then, yeah, I couldn't afford school, and I didn't know what to do, what was next. And the military definitely gave me a full-time job and some tools and some discipline that eventually showed to be extremely important in my life.
So I think that's, for me, my background, I was in the Air Force, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I needed to do something, and that's what I did. I joined the military, and I will say I only did 4 years, so credit to you for all those years. And but I will say those are the 4 of the best years of my life. I learned so much during that time. So I think it's worthwhile for people who aren't sure what they want to do, and they're a patriot. and they can give back to the country and serve. And in the long run, I think for most people, it's very beneficial.
Yeah.
So when you joined, what was your job? What'd you sign up and do?
So because I was in a rush and there was a war going on, I signed up as an 11 Bravo infantryman to begin with. So went to basic training out of Fort Benning, Georgia. I think it was about, had to be like March 2005. I headed out there and started my training. I did well in the physical fitness aspect. So I was offered airborne school while I was in basic training, and then AIT for infantry, ITB. And went to airborne school and kind of just got addicted to moving up, I guess. Airborne was like the next step after infantry, and then just kind of wanted to see what was next. And yeah, that's just where my mentality went, kind of changed from education to focusing on this career.
So airborne school, you said you were selected or picked to do that, and is it just like, can you sign up for airborne school, or do they just see some potential, and so we need this person?
Yeah, so I figured out a lot of these things later on. Like you can come in with like a special forces contract, a ranger contract, an airborne contract. I just signed up for infantry and just wanted to get out of Dodge and get started. But while I was there, I did really good on my PT tests throughout and performance, and they gave me airborne school as a reward, pretty much. So I had never been on an airplane until I flew to basic training and landed at the Atlanta airport. And the second time I was on an airplane, I was jumping out of it in airborne school.
Yeah, that's interesting how that works out, or it worked out for you.
Yeah.
So you're in airborne school, and when you go to airborne school, what does that lead to? Or for you, what did that lead to?
It was definitely an immersion for me. You got to see, they had guys that had ranger contracts, guys going to special forces, guys going to pararescue. We had some Navy SEALs in the class, some Marines. Just got to see a lot of the different, specialties out there, all at this school, training to move on to other things and hear the stories. Guys are going to dive school, going to this school, air assault. And I just decided I wanted to do all that stuff, and I wanted to try as many things as I possibly could. And then, went back to my unit and eventually ran into somebody who linked me up with a special forces recruiter, and then started that journey.
And with special forces, obviously within special forces, there's various, types of operators. And was there one that caught your attention that you said, that's who I want to be? And if so, what caused you to want to be that type of operator?
Yeah, I was back at my unit, Los Alamitos, California, the Joint Forces base there. And I saw the SF guys from 19th Group get ready to go train. Their hair was a little longer, their hands were in their pockets, their boots were unbloused. And they were just cool. I walked by them, they're like, "What's up, dude? How's it going?" And I'm private, just out of basic training. I'm like, "Yes, Sergeant, no Sergeant." And like, "Oh, no, my name's Chad," or whatever it was at the time. And I was like, "Man, these guys are just laid back and cool." I grew up in Southern California, pretty laid back lifestyle, and it just resonated. I was like, and these guys are doing all this cool stuff, and they're just laid back, decent individuals. Well, I think that's where I want to be.
Yeah. So you saw that and said, that's going to be me one day.
Yeah, hopefully.
So with that, which did you decide to go into? You became what?
I became Green Beret. So I had to go to like a little tryout to get into the unit. It was like a weekend tryout. I did exceptionally well in that. And then from there, you go on to like a pre-selection course, which is was called SOPC at the time. That was a pretty rough course, but the guy I was training with, we were just training extra hard. So while we were there, we were still working out after the course and on the weekends, and we were ready. So then you go to a 30-day selection course. They have 25 days at the time, and I did well enough there to get selected, and started the training to become a Green Beret in 2006.
Well, congratulations on that. I mean, Green Berets, no joke,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
At any time, but you're there we joined in 2005. We're in the middle of a war. There's a lot going on. So for you to say, I want to be part of that group to do, these things or those things, and you had the mentality and the training and the mindset and the focus, that's not for everybody. So for you to have the determination, you get a lot of credit. You should get a lot of credit for that.
I definitely got to give the credit to my mentors. Some of the guys I was going through the course with were, 5, 8 years older than I was, and they had been around the block a few times, and, I was very immature, but these guys took me under their wing. They were from the same unit as I was, and yeah, they got rid of that child mentality I had prior to starting that process. And, to this day, it's given me a lot of, I guess, things just to help me in my life, a lot of great mentoring.
So when you get accepted and you have to go through these courses, how many people wash out? I mean, is it a small amount, pretty large amount, or how many just don't make it? How many do make it?
Yeah, we had a pretty big graduating class from selection. Just over 100 guys made it through selection. But when it came to graduation about a year and a half later, there was 15 guys I went to selection with that graduated with me. There's some guys still in the medical course, some guys that recycled some courses, but 15 guys that started at the beginning, didn't recycle, and finished from that 100. It's pretty cool.
Quite the accomplishment for that, for all you guys that made it, obviously. So once you graduate, and you're training, I'm assuming all the time, getting prepared. How soon did you deploy after you became a Green Beret, and where did you go to your first tour?
Yeah, so I graduated in August 2007, and I went home for about a month or two, and then I was off for pre-mob. Went to Fort Carson, Colorado, and then out to Fort Campbell in Kentucky to meet my unit. I met my unit the night before they were leaving. I still had some classes to finish. So I met them the night before they were leaving for the deployment in Nashville, Tennessee. So you kind of have a good idea how that went as the new guy, Nashville, Tennessee, the night before your team's getting ready to go overseas.
Yep.
So it was a interesting encounter.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. We'll leave those stories for a different time. Yeah. And then, and where were they going to, and where did you join up with them at?
So I joined up with them just a few weeks later. We were heading to Baghdad, Iraq. So we were just, we're in the capital. We had we're on a big base, but we had a small area called Area 4 where it was just special operators. And met them there. I remember flying through Germany on the way there, and then arriving at the airport and just heading straight to the team. And then it began, a little in-house training once I got there to kind of get me, I guess, ready for what we were doing there, the daily schedule and everything, and then started working on, just getting ready for me to go on missions. It takes a few weeks of getting guys ready, and then start you off slow, start off as a driver, start off as a gunner, and then the next thing you're in the house and you're putting explosives on doors and breaching doors and flashbang and you name it.
Man, so how long were you in Iraq? Was your time there?
Yeah, we were there for 7 months.
7 months.
That tour. Yeah, it was pretty fast paced towards the end there, where it was almost like every day to every other day going out. We got in a big event in March of 2008 down in South Iraq, a little town called, big town called Basra, but a little part of it called Hayaniya. And it was a British occupied base, but they hadn't gone into the city for about 7-8 months. So Jaysh al-Mahdi, they had time to kind of like fortify, prepare, put in IEDs. And we went in there and took that town back, us and like another like 4 or 5 teams. And it was firefights every night for about 2 weeks. Wow. It was, they called it the Battle of Basra. it was a definitely interesting time. And I think a pivotal moment for me, because I was kind of let off the leash there and allowed to do everything we possibly could. And I mean, we did hostage rescue down there. We did all sorts of different missions. And yeah, it was hot, but young guy just getting started. It was fun.
You were ready.
Yeah.
Ready. With all those missions, especially you said towards the end there, are there a couple on that rotation, a couple missions that stand out for whatever reason? And if you can share those with us, one at a time, a couple of them, I think it'd be beneficial for people to hear what you and all the soldiers were going through at that time, and at times still going through.
Yeah, if there's one that I can remember has a little bit of humor to it and some fun stuff, and I'll tell it to the best of my recollection. But it was a two helo infill. We took Chinooks in, full team with some of our Iraqi counterparts. We had a battalion sergeant major, come with us on this mission for whatever reason. He wanted to come out on the mission with us to get maybe something here. And so, yeah, start the mission off. We land. We walk in maybe about a click into the city, and it's a hostage rescue. There's a Iraqi police chief. I remember that he was a police chief. He was just being held captive in this area. We got intelligence that he was in this school. All our ISR capabilities, all our drones and stuff, not a lot of heat signatures in the area. It was pretty dead. So just looked like he was just locked in there. Gonna be pretty easy to go get him, So anyways, we get to the school. We breach with ladders, kind of clear the courtyard, eventually make entry. We find him. And as we're leaving, it's kind of like that movie 13 Hours. People just started coming from all over this area and just started rolling in just randomly. Then that's when it started. And we had a new JTAC, and he was a solid young guy. And he got some work in. I mean, he was working with AC-130 overhead. He was dropping 40 Mike 105s, danger close, just outside the area that we were in. We had Reaper overhead as well. I mean, this guy, just looking at his screen, he was just going through and he was just taking dudes out left and right, just dropping bombs. And it was interesting because, you just see the explosion on the ground or feel them, and then you hear it up top, and kind of feels good knowing that you got that overhead cover.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just explosions going off everywhere. We eventually got out and started working our way out, taking no fire on the way out. It was pretty easy on the way out with the overhead cover. Guys kind of realized that wasn't their fight against us. And we're in cover right before the mission ends, waiting for the helicopters to come in. We send out, I think our laser at the time, let them know where we're at, or strobe. They land, and I'm the last person. So I'm counting, last man as I'm getting ready to go on. I got the sergeant major in front of me. I was kind of babysitting on the way back. And you have to, in Iraq, there's no plumbing, like a lot of third world countries, a lot of foreign countries. And there's like this shit river. So just feces and piss and all sorts of trash and stuff. And it's maybe 3 feet wide. We got, 75 to 100 pounds of gear on us easily. And you got to jump over it, to get to helicopters. So everybody makes it, except that sergeant major. Oh man, he landed waist deep and shit. And I jump over and I help him out, and I'm just keeping my mouth shut. And we got to get on the helicopter. And as most guys know, I've done this. When you're sitting on a helicopter on a Chinook with a good amount of people, you sit not to butt, you sit inside the guy's lap and stuff like that, So here I am, I got to sit inside the sergeant major's lap. So I get covered in shit. We get back, and it's just so funny. I didn't care at that time, because watching him jump in there was pretty funny to me. So that was an eventful night with a little bit of humor at the end there.
Yeah, well, that it worked out well for everybody. But at the same time, so you said he wanted to be there. How did he take that? How did he take it himself? I mean, did he find humor in that, or was he like just totally embarrassed over the whole thing, or a combination?
I can't recall exactly. I think he kind of just brushed it off, maybe just a little pissed off. But yeah, I can't recall exactly what his reaction was.
Wow. Hey, you got to laugh.
Mine. I laughed.
Hey, rightfully so. I don't think anybody would not laugh, that saw that. Especially if everybody else made it and one person fell right in the middle. Yeah. That's funny. But then again, you beat me to the question. My next question was, you obviously he fell in that, and then you have to get on the helicopter. It's going to be a tight quarters up there. How long was the ride, and how bad was it?
The ride wasn't too long, maybe like 20 minutes. And then, yeah, I mean, I kind of zoned out on the helicopters. I remember it stunk.
Yeah.
It was nasty, and I was trying to keep my hands away from it and my gun. And, yeah, you kind of zone out on the way back from those missions. At least I did. I mean, there's times where I fell asleep on the way home after firefights, whatever, on the helicopter. It's like a car ride, it's just loud and vibrating. It's nice and warm. So I probably fell asleep. I fell asleep on most helicopter rides on the way home, if I could say so.
Well, your adrenaline was going, off the charts. You get with, you realize, okay, I think I'm safe now, and you probably relax. I mean, I can honestly say, I've never been involved in anything like that, but I've heard stories of guys saying, no, after I was just able to, like you said, I could zone out, I could fall asleep because my adrenaline had come down so much from where it was. What about another mission while you're on that rotation that stands out?
Let's see, Iraq.
Well, let me ask you, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just for this, while you were in Iraq, I mean, did you have friends or soldiers, military that were killed on missions or severely injured that you were part of, involved in?
My unit, fortunately, didn't lose anybody that mission. We were attached to 5th Group. They lost a few guys during that time. And then the unit after us lost some guys. But we were fortunate enough to, come home with everybody.
That's good.
But, a cool story about that deployment is actually I found and located a buddy I went to high school with on the base there. We've been, good friends since. Our kids are growing up together. I got to meet up with him while I was out there, take him to my range, let him shoot an AK, stuff like that. That's a good memory I had while I was there, in the midst of war, linking up with a buddy from home. That was great. That was a great mental victory while I was there.
Yeah. Did you know he was there, or did you stumble into him?
We connected. I can't remember what social media or email or something back then, but we connected somehow, and then just realized we're on the same base, and that we need to link up.
That's good. That's a good motivator right there, I'm sure.
Yep.
So you do your time there, and then you come back to the States after 7 months, or what'd you do after that?
Yep, I came back to the States. I went on a surf trip to Costa Rica with one of the guys I was deployed with. And then we started pre-mob for Afghanistan with another unit. We jumped units to deploy right away. So I had about a month off, and then started a pre-mob with 19th Group out of West Virginia.
And then you went to Afghanistan?
Yep.
How long?
We left January 2009.
Okay. And how long were you over there?
7 months again.
7 months. Okay. And then involved in a lot of activity, a lot of action while you were during those 7 months?
Yeah, definitely. That was one of my more active deployments. Had a really good team, really good guys, and all go-getters. So we did a lot of work. We did a lot of missions. Some pretty good stories from there. Let's see. It was definitely a different country moving from Iraq to rural Afghanistan. I was in Paktika province out of a little fire base called Lily and Shkin, which is eyesight of the Pakistani border in southeast Afghanistan. So you could see a mosque on the Pakistani side. That's how close you are from the rooftop. And yeah, we used to take a lot of indirect fire from Pakistan. And we had 105s there with us, some infantry guys, and then it was just us and then some agency guys. So it was really small, really tight-knit group. And yeah, our guys used to fire back all the time. They let us shoot the artillery with them sometimes. Take some sniper pop shots from some of our border outposts. But no, I think those are more for fun. But yeah, we had some engagements. We had one of our good guys, one of my good friends, Iraq, he got injured on that trip, blown up in the IED. Incredible. I've talked about it in some other podcasts. But yeah, Eric was a warrior. He was killed in action 2017. But yeah, 2018. Something like that. Shit, I can't remember right now. But yeah, we got IED. Eric, which I talk about, he was on the 50 cal. He returned fire, emptied his 50 cal, jumped over into the Gib, which is the rear part of the Humvee that we had put another weapon in. We put a automatic grenade launcher in the back, Mark 47, and he emptied that thing, reloaded it, emptied it again, climbed back over, emptied the 50 cal, and was just going to work. I mean, he was a warrior. I'd seen that guy shoot mortars out of a turret before, off of metal. I mean, that's gnarly. This guy was a prior Marine. He was a Fallujah Marine. So he had already been there, done that. And then, joined Special Forces, came out, and it was such a great team leader, all around good guy. And yeah, he ended up getting sent home for traumatic brain injury right after that mission, and was out for a couple of years, but fought to get back in. He's one of those guys that fought to get back in, didn't give up. Yeah, that was in an ambush, 2009. Yeah, we had a good team. We worked with an Afghan leader named Aziz, and he, man, that guy got things done. And whether it was in the best way or not, he got work done, and he was feared in that region by the Taliban.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it was an honor to work with him, because I got to work with him again in 2016, So 2 different deployments, I got to work with this guy. He was eventually assassinated around like 2017, 2018, around the same time. But he did a lot of great work down in that region. And he was a warrior.
So
I'm sure any SF guys that watch this that have worked with him would definitely agree.
They'll back you up on that. So when you said the Taliban was fearful of him, why? What did he do that made them fearful? I mean, you said he got things done, but what was he doing to be feared by the Taliban?
Oh, he'd hunt them down. Yeah, he would hunt the Taliban down, whether we were with him or not. If we couldn't get approved to go on a mission, he still had a mission to do. So whether he didn't need our approval to go do things. So if we got denied, he went out and got it done.
Wow.
And when we're on missions, he got information from people. He was very good at intel. And yeah, in the simplest terms, he got it done no matter what.
And then he was killed, assassinated.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe he was having a picnic with his family, and they found him in the Capitol.
Wow. And your friend, his name was Eric, you said?
Yeah.
And he was killed in action? Was that in Afghanistan?
He was killed by an IED.
Man. I mean, true warrior, right? I mean, you said he was a Marine, and then went over Special Forces, and went out for a couple of years, and then went back in, and then unfortunately, was killed. But yeah, warriors like that, we need soldiers like that, for sure. So
yeah, one of a kind.
One of a kind, for sure. So, well, number one, I'm sure you had a lot of friends that were injured during your time. Several, unfortunately, that were killed in action. So for that, or for those, I'm sorry, you had experienced that. What about yourself? during your time in Iraq and Afghanistan, did you suffer injuries?
Uh, Nothing catastrophic. Definitely some decent injuries while I was there. Um, we were going after an IED maker that same trip, and his brother, who was associated with him, so we had submitted a mission to get his brother so we can get more intel to find the guy. His brother lived on top of this hill, so it was goat trails the entire way up this hill, kind of spiral. So we went in, we offset, we walked in a couple clicks, and yeah, you have to walk up this goat trail. So we went up this goat trail under night vision, with all our guys, cleared the house, detained him, temporarily detained, family and stuff like that. And as we're walking him out, I'm one of the guys walking him out. So I kind of got him, he's flex cuffs, and I got him kind of by the arm, just kind of just guiding him. But we're going down this goat trail, really hard to do. I don't know if he slips or he intentionally throws himself off. I feel like he intentionally threw himself off the side, but I'm holding on to him, and me and him tumble, like 15 to 25 feet down this pretty steep hill. I destroy my knee, my wrist. At the time, I didn't know it, but I had broken my scaphoid in my right wrist, like thumb bone, concussion. Out of it, not to mention, thankfully all my gear didn't fall off. I guess I had everything tied down pretty good, but that was a decent one. That one hurt. Definitely the wrist, kind of like, to this day, I just had surgery on it in the last 4 years to kind of correct some of the things because I re-injured it. And yeah, that bugged me up until then. And then on the 2011 trip to Afghanistan, he was going to put a tracking device on a vehicle. At the time, I was attached to the Defense Intelligence Agency. So I was working in the technical intelligence aspect, and went in on a CV-22 on an Osprey. So those things can cover some ground and then land like a helicopter, which is great. Air Force Special Operations pilots. And as we're landing, we have brownout. So pretty bad, you can't see. That's what we call brownout. So you're landing on like farmland and you can't see. Even with night vision, you can't see anything. And this is very common. And we've done it, quite a few times on multiple trips. But this one trip, he happened to he didn't see it. And maybe it was just because of the brownout, the dexterity. But where he landed, I was the first one out to count everybody off. Because I was the most senior guy in that mission. Went right into a ravine. So it felt like 10 feet with all my gear on unsuspectingly.
Wow.
Yeah, and tore my knee. I didn't realize till like the day after, but went on with the mission. Got the devices in I needed to put in, detained the people in the building. On the way out, they fired an RPG at us, and actually that bird got very close to hitting the ground. I think it barely touched because they put it down for a few days as it was taking off. And then, like I said, the next day my knee was destroyed. And this is I got like another 6 months to go on this deployment. So instead of going to Germany and getting my knee fixed, I just Motrin, wrapped it, got a knee brace, and just kept driving on. And yeah, that was a pretty painful trip trying to get through that, but it is what it is. I mean, it's just pain. I'm not going to leave the mission for something that I can continue to drive for.
Man, that's the mindset that you're talking about there, where a lot of people, I'm saying the vast majority of people in that situation may and suffers an injury, may find, hey, this is my way to get out. I always say that based on what I've read, a lot of books and stories and whatnot. But when it comes to the military and the soldiers and the airmen and the Marines and the Navy, the mindset and being true patriots, they just want to give back, and they're warriors. And you had 6 months left and said, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to wrap this thing up, get through it, and fulfill my obligation, be here with my guys, be here with my team, not leave them, move forward. It's like you said, it's only pain. I'll deal with this another time. So that mindset is just, I don't think a lot of people don't understand that there's a lot of you, a lot of people like you in the military and just, in first responders that put everything aside and are selfless and move forward. And I have such respect for the military in general and first responders, but people who just keep pushing through. I can keep rambling on, but it means a lot to me because I think that's much respect. So you deserve that respect.
No, thank you. I think the biggest reason to stay there is for that guy that's on my left, my right, in front of me, and behind me. That the team, I couldn't leave that country knowing that I was able to still fight. And something happened to one of my guys, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. And that was my mentality back then. Right? It's push through. We'll be home soon. Me's not going to kill you. Just keep going, keep working out, keep training, get stronger, and fix it later.
Yeah, I mean that's that's you're thinking that, which is that's your mindset. But like you just said, your buddies on the right, on the left, behind you, they see that in you, and they appreciate that as well. So that's incredible. Quick question: so between your time in Iraq and your time in Afghanistan, different terrain. What was the fighting like? I mean, was there any comparison between those two enemies, or similar, or one more superior than the other in their fighting?
I mean, both fighting styles are guerrilla warfare. It's the environment that changes that from urban to rural. And the urban combat was definitely more close quarters, and definitely driving down like a street, having 2-story houses on the sides of you, things like that. Lots of trash in the area. Very easy to conceal ambushes, IEDs, EFPs. So it was a little hairier, like driving through Iraq and worrying about that because it could just pop off at any minute, which it did. It's always just like when you least expect it, the missions you go into expecting a ton of, resistance usually end up being like the ones that you have nothing. So
Right.
it's crazy how that works,
Yeah.
But I'd say the greater warriors definitely are in Afghanistan, the Taliban, from Mujahideen back to Alexander the Great. Those guys have been fighting in that environment for quite a long time. And, the foreign fighters, the Chechens coming over and the aid from Al Qaeda and all the different tribal conflicts that they've had out there. They may not be the smartest, as far as technology goes and things like that, but they have guerrilla warfare down, and we're fighting in their home turf with millions and billions of dollars of equipment, and you would think it would be a slaughter, it'd be like 12th graders going against 6th graders in a game of basketball, but it's definitely not like that. Their tactics were different, and then they expanded because they obviously had support and funding from Iran and Pakistan and, Quds Force, stuff like that. Quds Force, I'm sorry. And, these guys they were good. And, you just had to, days ago, like, you got to constantly go into everything, ready to go. You got to keep your body in shape the whole time you're there, stay hydrated, eat. Because you never know when you're going to end up in a situation where it could just be you. It could just be you and a couple guys. You never know. You've seen all these movies and Hurley stories. You got to be ready because just like in Iraq, it can come out of nowhere, when you least expect it. But, definitely two different types of fighters. Same mentality, guerrilla warfare, but different. I'm glad I got to experience both.
Yeah. So when you're involved in a firefight, I mean, just so people have I don't know if they really understand, but I mean, to get an idea, like your very first firefight, do you remember your very first firefight and what was going on in your mind, if anything, or you just like your training kicked in and then afterwards you thought, oh shit, that was pretty hairy. That was bad. Just do you remember what you experienced your very first firefight?
Yeah, so I'll caveat by saying this, every single mission I went on, I was scared. Inside, 100% scared, and anybody tells you they're not is just bluffing. But do you show it? No. Do you act on it? No. But you have that fear, and that fear is what helps you keep alive, helps you stay alive, helps keep your senses heightened, So having that fear, moving into things. First firefight, I do remember taking fire from a rooftop, and then AC-130 ended up engaging and killing the enemy for us. But you just go back to your training. During that mission, I had to jump on the radio because the JTAC's equipment went down to talk to the aircraft. And I'd never done that in a combat situation before, but, I'd done it in training and practiced, and I knew, what to say. And it just clicks in. I think for me, at least, I found comfort and calmness in firefights. I never lost my cool. And I know guys that have served with me can probably vouch for this, but you just get to cover, you communicate, you return fire, communicate some more, you reassess, you're just constantly going through all of these different things in your head that you really have trained for. And, after the first deployment, you only get smarter when it comes to combat, and you only get more calm. And definitely the calmest I've ever been, is sitting off the side of a helicopter, my feet hanging out on my way to put an explosive charge on a door, kick it in, and get into some stuff with the enemy. But just calm.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's very comforting about it, to be honest. I remember the first time we engaged the enemy in Afghanistan in 2009. We took fire from a field, and I was the first one to shoot. But we had a bunch of guys that were, first deployment. So you got to kind of see what's going on before you figure things out. But I just busted out a window in a Kalat and just started returning fire. And they're like, "Oh, we could do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're in war. Break the window." Yep.
Yeah.
And you just kind of get to cover, return fire to start, and then start communicating, figuring out where it's coming from, what you got, if anybody's down. Yeah, you just keep moving.
Well, you have your mission, right? And the thing is, like you said, all your training, you can't have somebody in your position and your team members if they're not calm, if they're frantic and out of control. It's not going to do anybody any good. You can get people hurt. The communication can be poor. You don't need that type of person. You need somebody who is in control, scared, but knows what they have to do, and their training kicks in, like you said, and so to do that, and like you said, comforting, because you trained for it and you knew that's what you wanted to be there for, you were there for, and what you wanted to do. So man,
I think moving forward too, like as you deploy and you get new guys coming in that have never deployed, you have to take on this responsibility of being that guy that's calm to show them, so they don't panic. And an ODA is kind of like a baseball team. You're going to put your starters at shortstop, pitcher, catcher, first base, third base, and your guys that might need some work in the outfield, in Little League,
right?
And that's what we do. We kind of work with guys, start them off as drivers, start them off as gunners. Maybe the lead gunner is a more senior guy, maybe the rear gunner, depending, but yeah, maybe some junior guys drive at first or take a back roll in the stack. And you've got to lead from the front and eventually start working those guys in. A lot of guys like to take that spot as the lead guy constantly, and I disagreed with it. You got to shuttle these new guys in. And in 2016, my last deployment, I had the opportunity to do that. I was asked by quite a few teams to come, jump on their team for some missions. They needed some extra guys, and I did a few. But I sent all of my junior guys. At this point, I was, taking a leadership role. I sent a lot of my junior guys out to get this experience. One, I ended up getting a Purple Heart, multiple gunfights. I had guys stacking, enemy with miniguns, and these guys got that experience because 2016, I kind of had an idea I was going to be on my way out soon, and that was what I wanted to get back to the unit leaving. Is give these guys some experience so they can carry on the mission. And, they're really great guys. I keep in contact with a lot of them, and they're doing good things now. Now they're in leadership roles, and, can't wait to see what's to come for them.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a sign of a leader. You like taking the lead, you like taking that role, but you know that you have to develop and be there for the guys coming on, because you're not going to be there forever. Like you said, you're on your way out. And I mean, just imagine. I think it's just in general. Sometimes people don't want to give up that leadership, and then when they leave, a lot of people have no idea, and it really hurts the unit or the organization, an department, whatever it is. So the fact that you recognize that and develop those guys, that's a big deal, because hopefully, and I'm sure they're going to do the same, because they're not going to be there forever, and they can pass it on to other people because they saw what you did for them. So I'm sure they're doing it for others as well. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, and they earned it. I mean, those are guys that were at the range with me every single day. Those are guys that are building charges with me, working with the guys, the echoes, which are communications guys with the radios. They're figuring everything out on the days we don't have missions. And I try to make sure that we're constantly doing something. That's just how I've been overseas. If I got free ammo, why not use it and train it every single day? If I got explosives, train with that, everything. These are the guys that we're constantly trying and training. I'm like, yeah, you got to get out there. Take my spot, go on this mission. And it worked out. We all came home, and we all had great experiences. Got a lot out of it. Yeah, eventually I ended up, stepping away.
Well, so while you were in the Army, and even since when you were discharged from the Army, obviously you experienced so much in way of firefights and engagements or whatever, missions, and just seeing certain things, experiencing certain things. How do you deal with that? I mean, do people keep it inside? Do they lash out? Do they take some type of action to deal with what they experienced? Or how did you deal with that? Or what did you do?
So I'll tell you what I did, because I can't speak for everyone else, but I'm pretty sure we're all about the same, but I can't accurately say that. I kept it all in. I brushed it all aside from my first deployment in 2007-8 to my last deployment in 2016. All the dead bodies, all the adrenaline rushes, all the feelings and emotions you have to put aside while you're there. To be honest, you can't feel that right then and there, because you lose a guy who's, say, you don't have a mission the next day.
Right.
You have to be in the right mindset to keep yourself alive and your buddies alive still. You have to be able to feel it in the moment and then put it away for a while. You can't go through, there was no depression or anxiety or PTSD when I was deployed. That all came after, when I decided. I think when I kind of got into the mindset where I was like, I think I'm going to be getting out, it all kind of set in. And on the last deployment, we had a mass casualty event, multiple people dying and shot, or we had to work on a lot of guys because we're the only unit trained in medical that was there at the time, cross-trained too. And a young kid, worked on him for a long time with our team sergeant, who was my senior Delta for a long time. And that was a rough one. That one, I remember crying in the shower that night. But having to wake up the next day and get the vehicle ready, check the guns, clean guns, check the perimeter, plan missions. You have to drive on the next day. But when I got home from that trip in 2016, I think that's when it all started to slowly hit me, until it decided to all come out. And that's when, the depression, the anxiety, the PTSD, the paranoia, that hit me like a fucking bus.
Yeah. How'd you deal with that? Did you seek help for that? Or did you just kind of like, I'm going to deal with this myself?
From 2016 to 2020, I just drank it all away. So, I used alcohol to just suppress my emotions. I worked out a lot. If you look at pictures from back then, I was pretty stacked. But it was an outlet for me. I did that, and yeah, I was a cop, so I was focusing on what was happening on the streets. It was even more dangerous job, if you look at it, because it's every single day compared to, 7 months here and then back home. Yeah, those 7 months are every single day, but you get time in between. But when you're a cop, every week you're out there in a situation where you could possibly lose your life or get injured. And yeah, I was drinking it all away for a long time, and then finally decided to hit rock bottom, and things got carried away with the drinking and the depression and putting things aside, anger. So started with therapy, and therapy was great. I realized that a lot of my anger and aggression and depression was stemmed from my childhood. And I grew up fatherless for the most part for a long time, and some things I'd seen growing up. So getting to get that out could help me focus on the deployments and stuff that happened there. And yeah, just started addressing it and trying different forms of therapy, trying meditation. And up until recently, about 100 days sober now, in the best mindset I've been in a very long time.
Wow.
It's a constant battle, but if you don't get a hold of it, it'll ruin your life. I lost my first marriage due to drinking. I missed a lot of time with my son and his, when she was pregnant. I missed a lot of that. His first year, I missed a lot of that. And the same with my daughter. And, part of recovery for me is, getting over those resentments towards myself and working through them. But I do realize that, I have been through a lot. I definitely didn't handle it the right way at first, but, now through, like I said, therapy and sobriety, and just trying to live a healthy life with good outlets like gardening and working out, working on my cars, coaching baseball, playing with my kids has completely changed my life. And, you can see it in the smiles on their face daily. You can see the smile on my face daily. Things are better.
Yeah.
And after everything I went through, I now know that I deserve to live happy and not have to worry about, what happened before. It's it's a part of what created me and the man I am, the father I am. And I'll never lose that, but, ready to let go of some of those things.
Good for you, man. That's awesome to hear. You should be very proud, considering everything that you went through, you experienced while in the military, as you just mentioned, your childhood, and recognizing that you needed some help, and then doing that, and because not everybody does that. So the fact that you recognized you needed it and you acted on it, and now you're feeling, awesome. You have your two children, your son and your daughter. You have some outlets in gardening, and which is therapeutic. You have your coaching, you're working out. Well, good for you, man. I'm happy for you. That's great to hear.
Yep. And you definitely got to be the best you possibly can, especially raising kids, as they'll see that.
They'll definitely see that. Yeah. So, and that's another thing, the fact that you recognize that they're watching you, and they're watching us, as adults and as parents. And so that's huge for you. So congratulations on that. And your 100 days.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a big deal too. Because I know, family members who have had difficulty and that have been sober for many years. And like you just said, it's a battle every day. But they have their support system, and hopefully you do as well. And it's helped them out quite a bit.
Yep, just taking it one day at a time.
Yeah. So real quick, because you mentioned it, and I mentioned it early on when we did the introduction, but you, police officer, you work for the Gardena Police Department. When did you start working for them? And while you've been with them, what assignments have you held?
So I went to the police academy in April of 2015. And, straight out of there, I went to patrol. right when I started patrol, actually, is when I ended up going to my 2016 deployment. So I got off training and went on to deployment. So I had to come back to the deployment and kind of relearn again what to do. But yeah, I stayed in patrol my entire time in. And, I got to work as a force instructor, which was really awesome. It was really great to work with some of the newer guys coming in and just, teach them what I knew as far as self-defense goes and tactics. I got to work on the SWAT team, on-call SWAT team. A bunch of great guys, got some good training out of it. Kind of brought me back to, being with the team. So I really enjoyed the team aspect of it. They had a good group of guys, and it gave me that feeling like I was back in SF for a little bit. And those are only real things I did. I really liked patrol. I thought patrol was, where it was at. That was where the action was. We're in foot pursuits or vehicle pursuits every weekend on the shift I was in. I mean, we got it done Thursday, Friday, Saturday night graveyards.
Oh, yeah.
Got it done. We tried to make sure that there was a story for the Sunday morning guys every week, and we're pretty good about it. It's a hit or miss city. There's high crime areas and there's low crime areas, so you can kind of be as active as you want, or you can do the opposite. But I prefer to take my 12 and a half hours for what it is and get as much done as possible. And I am reluctant to have had a lot of great partners, especially the one I had, ending. We're off and on together for about 5 years, and he was a warrior too, force instructor, SWAT guy, range instructor. He was extremely motivational for me to want to keep going, because every time we got in the car, it was time to work. He's one of those guys that was just like me, so it was perfect. We didn't eat with everybody. We just kind of got it done, and we had some fun, and yeah, just really good memories. Sharing a car with my last partner for sure, and yeah, I definitely wanted to do more, but my body caught up with me. I had a car accident in 2020, hit by a drunk driver, and smaller one after that, and then another major one in 24. And, I'm up to like 11 surgeries, so 10 bulging discs in my back. So I decided to medically retire, and that's the process I'm going through right now. Not officially yet, but working the process, give my body a rest. I want to be able to throw a baseball with my son his entire life. And, I can't take any more chances getting hurt, because sleep, depression from injuries, being held back, in and out of shape. Just kind of wanted to get my life back, and that's what I'm doing now.
Good for you. Sounds like you're very focused. You know what you want to do. You're moving forward, and you're doing it. So that's great.
Thank you.
So I know you and I met when I reached out to you. You invited me to the VFW there in Redondo Beach, which I'd said I'd driven by that place 1,000 times. I'd never been inside. And when we met there, I liked that vibe. I came home and told my wife, I'm like, man, I had never been there. It was great. So hopefully I can go back down there. And since then, I can tell you, I've told guys, I'm like, hey, have you been to the VFW? And they're like, no. I'm like, man, we need to go. You can just go. We thought it was like a membership only. I know you guys have members.
Yep.
So I know I know I want to go back down there, even have a coffee or a drink or whatever. But I know some guys that want to go down who are very supportive of the military and the veterans. And so hopefully I can introduce you to these guys, because they're very supportive.
Great. Love to meet them.
So with that said, tell us, what are you doing for veterans? Because I know you're doing a few things for veterans. You're part of the VFW, but you also had a nonprofit that you do to support veterans. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so I run a nonprofit called Ruck for Veterans, RUCK, like Rucksack. I always found ruck marching when I was in as a very peaceful form of exercise. Great overall workout, and just a time to kind of reflect on whatever's happening. It's also a great opportunity if you're rucking with someone else to talk with them. And I'm an open book, so I prefer to talk about, struggles, victories with people I'm walking with, whether they're other vets or community members. I feel like everybody has something to offer to my story, and I feel like I can offer something to theirs. So just conversing and just moving along. And I started this nonprofit with that in mind, getting a lot of people together and, doing these ruck marches down by the beach, because you're getting so many types of therapy when you're doing it. You're getting the physical activity, you're getting, that mental clarity, walking, being able to think, talk. You got sights, great views of the ocean. You got the smells, you get the sounds of the waves. You kind of get it all in just one event, one workout. And that's why we started doing it. We started raising money for nonprofits in the beginning, like Green Beret Foundation, Special Forces Foundation, veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan wars. And then we moved on to our own element, becoming a 501c3 nonprofit back in around like 2020, and doing our own events and raising money to host a Ruck club where we'd meet up every week or every other week and do the same thing just on the weekends out of the VFW. So using the VFW as a location for vets to come together and, treating guys to breakfast and things like that, and handing out free rucksacks. We got sponsored by a company called Beret Outdoors. They sent us a bunch of rucksacks, about $250 a piece. Give those out to the veterans that are coming. One of my biggest sayings is always, getting veterans back on their feet physically and mentally.
Yep.
And that's what ruck marching does. And then the VFW being an open post, we have so many great community members there that are there daily, that support veterans, that help out with veterans and come to the ruck marches. And yeah, it was just a great community thing, because there's a lot of great, large nonprofits out there that are helping on a bigger scale. But I think it's important for our local communities, for veterans in those local communities to become leaders, and to take that local community, bring all the veterans together and let them know that they're not alone, that they still got brothers out there, that there's community members that support them. And I mean, just such great networking opportunities too for guys getting out that don't realize what's out there or what they want to do. Just start talking to people and you'll figure it out, and if you're just having a bad day, throw a ruck on. You don't even have to throw a ruck on, just go for a long walk. It always helps me. So that's the gist of the nonprofit and helping vets, and at the VFW, we like to help guys with their veterans claims too. We donate to local charities. We work with the community members, Boy Scouts, JROTCs. It's a great place to be a community member. And I think that's not something that's missing, but something that can be improved on in most communities, is being a leader in your community. There's so much you can do, like what you're doing, reaching out to these veterans in the local community and getting their stories out there. There's so many unheard stories out there that are great, that I'm sure for me, it's therapy, talking about what I've been through and what I'm going through. But, a lot of these stories need to be told and need to be heard, especially as some of these older veterans get older. They've done so much for this country and they lived through so much, so many different generations. These guys lived through some of these Vietnam vets, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up until now. And they have a lot to offer. And I think a lot of people need to listen, not just watch, but actually listen.
Well said. I 100% agree with you that the stories need to be told, shared. I think they need to be given a platform to do that, because I want to share. I think a lot of them do. They just don't know where or how. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do here. I mean, we're doing our best to be a resource for just that, so people can understand, listen to veterans and first responders, their journeys, their struggles, their experiences, and hopefully that once people listen, they can have more of an appreciation of what people do for us. So I appreciate it very, very much. Before I forget, your nonprofit, is there a website people can go to, or is it something that is just local?
Yeah, ruckforveterans.com is our website, and Ruck for Vets is our Instagram page. So not too active right now, kind of focusing on the retirement aspect and some other things right now, but we're going to be picking back up here very shortly.
Okay. That's good to know. We can put that down in the show notes, hopefully people can visit the site and see what you're all about, and hopefully support you guys in some way. What about your socials? You have a couple I know on Instagram that are in regard to your workouts and all that. What is your social there? And we can put that down there as well if you want people to see what you're doing.
Yeah, so my Instagram page is the Operational Athlete. Operational.
Okay.
And that was focused as a platform for me to share workouts that I was doing to prepare for special forces, police work and SWAT. Since my injuries has kind of slowed down, I do a lot of focus on mental health, on just for me, like I said, just therapy for me talking about things. So I put things out there in hopes to help people. And I get a lot of people responding like, hey, thanks for posting that. Oh, I need to hear that today. So kind of been doing that, mostly focusing on family. On the Ruck Vet site, we promote a lot of different veteran nonprofits. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, Operational Athlete, I'm open to talk to any veterans, any first responders about whatever's going on. It could be career, it could be mental health, physical health, shooting, whatever hobbies. I talk to a lot of guys, and I've been talking to a lot of guys since I started that page many years ago. And yeah, if there's any way I can help guys that are watching this, reach out and let's start the conversation.
Hopefully people will take you up on that. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to say or share to our viewers?
Yeah, I think I said it before. If there is it could be anybody actually, veteran, first responder, community member, anybody struggling with mental, physical health, reach out. I'd like to help in any way I can. I've pretty much tried it all at this point, and I'm still trying everything I can. Stay just healthy in general, both mental and physical health fall under health. Reach out. And if you are a veteran in the community and you see the need for someone to step up, start a Ruck club, start a run club, start a meetup, coffee, whatever it is, start linking up with other vets and helping each other out. I'm sure there's more resources out there than you realize within your community, especially when it comes to employment or just anything. We all got out, or guys that are still in, and we have a lot to offer other than just what we were trained in. Our experiences, things we're going through. We can help each other navigate life pretty much at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that offer to be a support for veterans and first responders. Hopefully when people hear that and they have been hesitant, they've heard your story now, and hopefully they've heard your story in other podcasts as well. But they realize, hey, there are people out there like Matt who are there for us. And I think a lot of times, people put that wall up. They don't want to make that next step. They know they want it. They know they need to make that next step. But for whatever reason, they're hesitant to do so. So hearing that from you, hopefully that encourages people to do that. So appreciate that very much. Thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for your service to our communities, specifically the city of Gardena, which is in Southern California. And just thank you for your selfless service, your commitment and your dedication, and just doing something that a lot of people don't do in the service of others. So much respect to you, and our gratitude is towards you. And just to wrap it up, thank you very much, and thank you for being our guest on the Behind the Line podcast.
Thank you. I'd do it all over again.